A warm welcome to everyone for our PCQuest 35 years journey from 1987 to 2022. Today, we will be discussing different form factors for different personas and businesses. For that, we have with us investor, advisor, and entrepreneur Rahul Agarwal. Welcome, Rahul.
Thank you for having me here.
Yeah. So I'll get straight to it. If you look at like PCQuest was launched in 87, and if you look at the last 35 years, the amount of devices that have come, the amount of form factors that have come has been pretty high. So, and plus there has been an evolution of those devices down the decades. And different form factors have suited different professional businesses and personas in the home space. I know this is a slightly long and difficult question, but can you talk about these devices and their impact on business, society, and lifestyle? Maybe we can start with the three main eras: the desktop era, the laptop era, and the smartphone era. So, if I know it's pretty long loaded question, but if you could do it.
Yeah. See, when it comes to computers, whether it's a desktop or notebooks, the form factors really haven't undergone a dramatic change. Pretty much a laptop today looks like what it used to look like even 25 years ago. Only thing is that laptops have become lighter, thinner, and more powerful. So that quest for people to make laptops thinner and lighter so that they are more portable continues. And I think we're reaching a point where it's pretty much the optimal form factor. When it comes to desktop, the big change happened when monitors moved from CRT to flat panel, because that again was very space saving and aesthetically it looked good. The second innovation that started happening about 10 years ago was all-in-one, where instead of a PC with an independent CPU box and the screen was merged into one single screen. The biggest change that I think that has happened in the computing world is, of course, the smartphones, because a lot of people who only need to access internet move to phones, and that affected the PC market by significantly. So until the COVID came and changed the demand for PCs and laptops, the global market had been declining. Very surprising that from 2010 onwards, it was actually a steady decline. India was a growing economy, but even India, it was rather flat. So a lot of people were moving into phones. Phones were becoming more powerful, screens are becoming bigger, and phones were cheaper. And anyway, people wanted a phone with them. So it became, smartphone became a phone plus computer. And then the whole app world came and conquered, the whole world. So that is, something that clearly had a huge mark. And now, if you look at a computer, there are two or three clear use cases. First is offices. Offices need a, for business, you need a full computer. Two is education, because you need a keyboard. You need to really have a large screen plus keyboard to do your homework or to do your assignments. So for education, that continues to be the main driver. Entertainment, which was a big driver 10 years ago, has moved to phones. So if you needed a computer for listening to music, videos, and other things, or just do emails, then I think that has moved to the smartphone.
And what about the businesses and lifestyles? Like you can even define how businesses were in the desktop era, how the people. Can you talk a bit about how the business change and how the personal lifestyle change in these three eras?
Yes, it traditionally. Sorry, did you say last 3 years?
Sorry, last three eras: desktop era,
Three eras.
laptop era, and
See, traditionally, India has been a desktop market. uh, because India, given the demographics, has been um, a price-led, market, and the perception and even the reality was that desktop was much cheaper than a laptop, and the life of a desktop was much longer because it was static in one place, whereas a laptop had a higher chance of getting damaged because people would carry it around. So clearly, a lot of people favor desktop. Mobility started happening in the second era when people said that, hey, we don't want to be chained to our desk. And wherever we go, whether we go to a cafe, whether we go for meetings, client meetings, or we want to work from home, we would like mobility. But that happened very slowly. First, for two reasons. Firstly, the cost, which the gap was narrowing. But secondly, a lot of organizations did not want the company confidential information to be taken by the employees back to their homes. And third is parents of teenagers. They wanted to see what the kids were watching, so they preferred a desktop compared to a mobile laptop. Now, all these things got totally shaken in the COVID era. COVID era, everyone wanted a mobile machine because you didn't know when a lockdown would happen. You don't know whether an office would start. You needed online education you wanted your kids to be ready for online education. And in a house, you could be sitting anywhere and taking your classes. So mobility has really hit big in the COVID era. And I think desktops use will become marginal over a period of time. Only very specific use cases will be on desktop where, the clients of the companies are saying, hey, we don't want your employees to be able to take our data to their homes and so on and so forth.
Then what about the devices that didn't take off, like Apple's Newton, Netbook? There were certain devices which showed great promise, and one I think made a comeback is the Tab. Now I think the Tab is also doing well. So maybe
No,
if you can.
Tab is doing very well, and Lenovo's Tab business, I'm sure is great. We were number one for a very long time, and we almost had a 60% share in the commercial market. And we saw that tablet took a comeback because the government, when they were giving devices to students, they found that a tablet price point is more amenable than mobile workspace, hospitality, education. A lot of other verticals, really started using tablets. The device that didn't take off, Netbook, in my opinion, was underpowered. It was kind of a mini laptop. It was a mini laptop, and uh, people thought that it could do the job, but they got a little disappointed with the performance of the product, and that product was introduced to reach some price points which were reached, but at the expense of performance. Apple Newton, to be honest, I don't have a great personal insight. I have not started working in that era, but maybe it was a product a little too early for its time. The price, I understand, was too high, and then the company did not display enough, I would say, patience to continue, because I think in the new leadership era, the product was taken off in 1997 or 98. Uh, it was a good product, but maybe a little ahead of its age.
So yeah, I think we've covered most of the devices, so and how they were used. So I'll just ask a final question. What about the future? Will any one device dominate, or like some people talk, will be living in the cloud, will be everywhere? So will it, what devices will dominate, or will there be no devices?
No, no, see, anyway, we are living in the cloud. In fact, cloud is a little overhyped. 1998, I started a Yahoo mail account. It was on cloud, right? My mails were served on the Yahoo cloud server somewhere in some part of the world. So cloud is where the data is stored. The key thing is, where is the computing power going to be stored? And there is one more form factor that came in, which was thin client, where actually even the computing power is in the cloud, not just storage. But that also did not take off beyond a point. Hardly less than 5% of the market, in my understanding, is on thin clients, and that too only for commercial use. So devices will continue. Now, future, it's very difficult to predict, but people are saying, hey, can I have a small device which can project on the wall, and then can it have a virtual keyboard, which will be again like a image on the table, and I can type. Those are possibilities, but would that be convenient? I don't know. How do you find a wall? If you're in a cafe, how do you find a wall, right? If you go to meet your client, how do you find a clear white wall? So, in my opinion, form factor, you need a device, right? Now, the question is, will there be a point where you need only one device? There are a lot of people who are happy with only the smartphone, but there are a lot of people who have a computer and a smartphone, right? Because one thing is clear, that nobody can live without the smartphone. You go to a grocery store, you put it in your pocket. You have to have a mobile, portable, small device which cannot be more than 5 to 6 inches in size. So my view is that these two devices will continue, but there would be more and more people who will find that most of their needs can be satisfied with the smartphone. Now, can there be a smartphone which is engineered so well that it can expand and become a 10-inch thing, and you press a button, the screen becomes 10-inch, and a keyboard also comes out? That is a nirvana. But then will it become too bulky, too big? Is a question. But time will tell if somebody is able to invent such a device.
Yeah, so I think that Nirvana form factor sounds a good place to end. Let's see if we can attain Nirvana or not. So on that note, I'd really like to thank you for giving your views. It was quite an interesting discussion.
Thank you, Sunil. Thank you.